He served in the House of Representatives for almost 20 years and is now ready to give it another go. Darrell Issa, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me on. And it is a pretty exciting time to be on the outside wondering how fast I can get inside.
Well, I don't think you have any problem. You didn't struggle with that in the past.
No.
So I think you're pretty clear. And like I mentioned to you earlier, it's almost strange not to have congressmen attached to your name. So we're all ready to have it on there once again.
Well, if I'd been fortunate enough to have the Senate do its job, I'd be head of an independent agency for President Trump. But the Senate Democrats blocked my nomination, and it turns out it was fortuitous because with the opening of the 50th Congressional, it not only gives me an opportunity, but I think a need to fill that slot, not just for the people of San Diego, but maybe for the veterans community, the military personnel that otherwise won't have a representative.
I agree. Everything's for a reason. Coming back with fresh eyes. And speaking of that, you're running for California's 50th Congressional District, and that is to succeed Duncan Hunter. He resigned this month. Just about 2 years ago, it's funny, it's January 10th, if I'm not mistaken, 2018, you announced your resignation. Now you're back. What's different now?
Well, I think first of all, I have the president's support for this job, where in the past he wanted me in the administration, but I think it's become clear that he needs strong friends and allies back in Congress. Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, many of the people I helped trained are there. But with the attack, the constant attack, we candidly, as a partisan, we need to retake the majority in Congress so we can move forward with the president's agenda and stop needless attacks like this impeachment. That's
right. Now, what are some of the issues not only important to those in the district, the 50th district, but for the state that you would be able to tackle in D.C.? We know a quick example being president, talking about the homeless problem here, the homeless problem in the state, actually, and warning of federal intervention. What do you think about this?
Well, first of all, the president cares a great deal about the homeless crisis, the opioid crisis, things that he inherited from the last president. But he also is very aware that you can't fix stupid. And California has been acting stupid. When you have cities with feces on the street and no attempt to help people get into housing, even while the federal government maintains a great deal of help in that area, if you're willing to. In California, we have organizations right here in San Diego like Solutions for Change and so on, who are helping transition people from living on the street back into productive lives. And yet it seems like in San Francisco, all they really want to do is have tents and complain about some third world poverty that sprung up in the United States, when in fact nothing's further from the truth. We've never been more prosperous. We've never been more able to take care of all of our citizens, but we've got to work together in a way that candidly California is not doing.
I agree. It's such an unfortunate situation there in San Francisco. Now, in a recent survey in a poll, likely voters in the 50th district, they said border security was one of the top issues for them. So what are some of the issues that you would tackle not only in this district, but be able to take to a federal level?
Well, I think let's stick to border security for a moment. This district was honored to have Duncan L. Hunter for many, many years. He was the father of the wall. He helped create it using military surplus equipment, and he made us on the north side of this border the safest border city in America. Well, Tijuana continues to have its challenges, hundreds of murders and so on. And that makes a difference. So it's not only about, if you will, immigration. It's to a great extent about the crime we used to see coming north of the border. At the same time, fighting illegal immigration, fighting the drugs and so on, require other tools. We need interior enforcement. We need to find ways to get the cooperation we're not getting from sheriffs and police chiefs, because this is a sanctuary state. We need to have E-Verify, in other words, a system that says if you're not here legally, you don't get a job. If you come through the system as a guest worker or an immigrant legally, you do get the opportunity for these jobs that are plentiful. That is all federal, but it also requires that the federal government take a lead to push back on the states. President Trump tried to use his administrative power to limit how much money we were giving to people who were essentially not cooperating. The court said he couldn't do it. But I'm going to tell you, Congress can pass constitutional laws that say the only way you get the money is by not being a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state. That has to apply to the very cities that I've represented in the past and I'll represent in the future.
Yeah, President Trump has proposed that in the past. And like you mentioned, there are a lot of programs in place. It's just they need to be followed.
They do. And in spite of the problems we've had, because San Diego, the city in the region, has been filled with people that are willing to take help from this administration, many of the undersecretaries and assistant secretaries have been out here. They worked with Mayor Faulkner, who has made homelessness his outgoing issue, but he's also made it an issue during his time as mayor. All of those things show the administration there's hope for California, maybe not San Francisco, maybe not LA, but there's hope here in San Diego and in East County.
I couldn't agree more. Now, this week, President Trump, another accomplishment, phase one of the China trade deal that was signed. He says it's going to benefit U.S. farmers. Some Democrats criticize the president's signing and saying that it's now created a problem for California's agriculture. So what's your take on this? How is this new deal going to benefit the state?
Well, it's going to benefit in two ways, because we've had two trade deals become enacted this week. Yes. USMCA with Mexico, which reduces the amount of transshipping of Chinese goods and increases the Mexican content. Good for Mexico, good for us. We have the busiest border in America right here between us and Tijuana and neighboring cities. So for us, we know it's a win-win. The China part of it is important because I know some Democrats will try to hit agriculture and so on, but at the end of the day, our future is not just in feeding the world, it's also in free and fair trade of technology. And China was systematically stealing it. Companies, many of them headed by very partisan Democrats, have been begging for this legislation and they couldn't get it. The president did it without Congress. He did it through tough negotiations. He did it through tariffs that he had to do in the name of national security. But he accomplished it. And just as USMCA, 10 senators voted no on the best deal ever to come along. Should have been 100-0. There's always going to be a naysayer. But the fact is, we have two big wins this week. $250 billion or more coming right out of China with promises in writing to stop stealing technology and forced transfers, and a really good deal that is going to help us in San Diego with our Mexican partners.
Very big week. Now, the Office of Management and Budget disagrees with the Government Accountability's Office of a report. This has been in the weekly news now. They claim the administration violated the law by withholding aid from Ukraine. Right now that I have you here, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you, I know that you have a lot of expertise in this topic. So what is your take on the JAO report?
You know, overseeing the General Accountability for years, you get to understand how they work. Republicans and Democrats, and particularly my old committee oversight, can request these studies. We requested them under President Obama 7 times. 7 times he didn't follow the law exactly as it is. In other words, he didn't do certain things on time. But what I think your viewers have to understand is a delay of just 55 days, all in the same fiscal year, in order to make sure that they were going to use the funds appropriately and the corruption was being fought. What makes it absurd is those very senators that they're going to say, look, those senators routinely ask for holds by Department of Defense, Department of State, and they are granted them. Every single time those holds, not codified in law, there's nowhere in law that says one senator can say, wait 3 weeks, give me time to look into this, and yet it's done. So maybe it's technically something where you say, well, you're supposed to do it as soon as it's ready. But it is so benign when you consider that it's done every day at the behest of senators, both Republicans and Democrats, under presidents, Republican and Democrat. So it's a lot to do about nothing.
Well, thank you again for your time. We really appreciate you being here. Like I said, Congressman Darrell Issa just goes together. We're all used to it, so hopefully we'll see it in the future soon.
Well, thank you. I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.